Exactly start. I think it's starting now. Yep, here it goes.
I wonder if I have to refresh.
It should start up. That'd be okay.
Oh, someone's already.
Yeah.
There we go. I don't know.
Um. hmm. Okay, here
Is
it
our
goes.
audio going through?
It should be. You can listen if you want. If I listen, I'll get an audio feedback loop.
Yeah. I'll probably. Let's see. We can ask them. Is our audio coming through?
Yep. Um. Let us know if you guys can hear us and how the audio sounds.
Oh, well. Hold on. I will check. Say something. Oh, yeah, I hear us.
Okay.
There we go.
Yep.
I'll
There's
turn my.
usually a bit of a lag. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. So I guess I'll go ahead and get to it. And it's funny, we went from 7 people waiting to 2 people watching. So, not sure what happened there. Maybe it's because we were late by 2 minutes. So,
Yeah.
um, I've already mentioned in Discord previously, but for those of you watching or who are watching after this has already been streamed, so at some point in the future, in this stream, I'm going to be using the Animation Matching Suite plugin made by my friend Ryan to try to put together a locomotion system to see how fast I can use it and kind of just to show my first impressions while using the plugin through a live stream on the channel. And Ryan is here with me in voice chat and Discord to so we'll be talking together probably while I'm trying to build this out, but we're also both here to interact with you guys. I'm sure he's the most suited person to answer questions about his own plugin. So with that said and out of the way, I'll go ahead and get started. And this is just a completely blank project with his UUS unarmed upright strafing animation set. So
So you got my set and my plugin in there.
yep.
Nice.
I'm kind of treating it somewhat jokingly as a speed run to see how fast I can make a locomotion system from scratch, but I am not going to give anyone any promises as to what the state of the system will be within the next couple of hours. I don't want this
No
stream to go
pressure.
on for too long. uh, oops. So I'm putting together a very basic state machine here, and I'm just going to start with 2 states. No, 3. 3 makes a lot more sense. I'll do an idle, a start, and a cycle. And hopefully, really soon here, I'll add in a stop state. It goes back into idle, but for now I'm going to get things figured out and set up with the start state using Ryan's plugin. So Ryan has a set of nodes, but one of the really awesome features of this plugin is that you can do distance matching with blend spaces. So as opposed to choosing one um, animation in a multi-directional state, you can blend between different animations, and as long as the animations actually line up well in a blend space, the result is pretty awesome. Let's see.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite features, actually, if I say so myself. Dang, which one are you looking for?
Here we go. I was looking for the hips forward and hips backward blend spaces.
How did I don't remember how I labeled them.
I found them. I think. Oh yeah. I just realized the stream is going to be a few seconds behind. What our audio is we're talking to each other in Discord. So I'll go ahead and see if I can share my screen in Discord for you as well. That might, if that does too much to the bit rate of the stream, I'll have to stop. But you'll be able to watch live as we talk, and that should work a bit better. I didn't consider that before we got started here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So the blend spaces that I'm using are split into two, and I do eventually want to make a video in my locomotion series explaining how to use blend spaces more properly than the standard locomotion angle -180 to positive 180 degree approach, because you'll always run into, or almost always run into, issues when the orientation of the hips relative to the character's movement is different within a blend space. So if you have like the hips facing forward into movement like they are in this blend space, and you go into a blend space where the hips are facing backwards into the direction of movement, the blending is never clean and you will likely run into foot sliding. So in my experience,
Funny
and I believe
me too.
Ryan's, it's been better to split up the two things into two blend spaces and then swap between those blend spaces to minimize the time spent in the blends between hips facing forward and hips facing backward in the motion. That is aided by having left and right animations with the hips facing forward and backward into motion, which is something that Ryan's animation pack does have. It's like this same kind of set of cycling animations, I believe, that the advanced locomotion system has, for any of you watching who are familiar with working with it, and how in that system the hips can face into motion and away from motion, but that system doesn't have the starts and stops or root motion worked into the animations. It can all be used with distance matching. So I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a view of what the actual blend spaces that I'm using here look like. I can't get out of the mindset of making Unreal Engine tutorials while I'm trying to create a locomotion system as quickly as possible. That's probably not a good thing.
Well, it's better than watching a silent video.
That is true. Okay, so locomotion angle. I'll do the standard approach that I go through in my animation series that I've been doing and override the thread-safe update animation function. I really can't stop talking like this is a tutorial. And I'm not going to worry about organizing my variables. I don't need to get a locomotion angle, I need to set a locomotion angle. Oh, yep. I need a get movement component function. Yep, and while the initial premise of the stream is me trying to create a system really quickly, we can really easily, and let me start over there. I'd be happy to divert away from that to help explain any questions you guys have. That's the whole purpose of doing this is a live stream, is to be able to have that interaction back and forth between me and you guys, and this time around, Ryan, the developer of the plugin, me, and you guys. So don't feel like you can't distract away from what I'm doing here on screen if you have questions, and I'm sure, well, there'll probably be more of them as I really get started using the functionality of the plugin. So just know that we're both happy to focus on answering questions and interacting with you guys. That is not the right node. For a second there, I thought I was back in the Blueprint thread safe update animation function because I stopped thinking about the system and started talking to you all. Okay, so property access.
Oh yeah, never mind. Oh, someone's asking if you remember the question in the test stream. I wasn't there for that.
Yes, so... I do remember the question. So he was asking, I believe, about blending between like different portions of a character, like the upper body and lower body. And the way that this plugin works, and Ryan will be able to help me a lot here, he made it, is that it's built into the individual nodes. So you have blend space players and sequence players. So if you put in a sequence that you're playing for the upper body inside of like a state machine that has different upper body animations, and then you do the same for the lower body, then you could blend between the outputs of both of those state machines using like a layered blend per bone node. So if you pretend that these two nodes are their own state machines that are making use of these matching nodes, then you could blend in one for the lower body with either a mask or a branch filter, and then one for the upper body. Like if I type in pelvis, there's the bone, and blend pose 0, it will take the pelvis and, oh yeah, no, pelvis won't work, I have to do a spine 0-1. It'll start at the base of the spine, and everything above that, every bone that's a child of that spine bone, will have the output pose from the second input. Everything else, so the pelvis and the legs, will have the output pose from the first input. And so that's the awesome thing about animation graphs just in Unreal Engine, really, is that there are so many different ways you can do things, and it gets really interesting, the different kinds of things you can do once you realize that you can be inside of different states at the same time. You can have more than one state running inside of an animation graph and exist in those different states and then do different things with those output poses from those states. So, yep, so what exactly does this plugin do? I'm going to hand that question off to Ryan while I continue to try to put a system together here. Take advantage of him being here in my stream.
So the plugin itself, most of its functionality, which I'll explain in a moment, actually all of its functionality is encapsulated within 3 animation nodes: the pose grabber node, the blend space node, and the sequence node. So there's 3 nodes, and I don't think Ethan has set up the pose grabber node, but that's because that will come later. But basically the animation provides functionality for distance matching and pose matching. And distance matching, you may think, oh, well, Epic already did that in UE5. They released tech for distance matching. And you'd be correct. For sequence assets only, though. So you wouldn't necessarily gain anything other than convenience if you were only looking to my plugin for distance matching sequence assets. But if you want to distance match blend spaces, Epic does not currently have anything available for that. And also for pose matching either sequence assets or blend space assets, my plugin is the only one I'm aware of that supports pose matching, which I'll explain what that is in a moment. It's the only one that supports pose matching for blend space assets. There are some very expensive plugins, such as Motion Symphony, that do support, and that's like $250 US dollars. And it does have some functionality in there that does support pose matching, though it itself is primarily a motion matching plugin. But even so, it doesn't have any functionality for pose matching blend space assets. My plugin's the only one I'm aware of that does that. Now, what is pose matching? So pose matching is, I mean, it's like as it sounds. It tries to match poses, and as you're probably aware, an animation asset is just a set of poses, kind of like an old school like flip book animation, where you have a bunch of different drawings, you put them in a flip book, and you go through them quickly, and it creates something that is perceived as movement. Well, an animation is essentially that. It's a collection of poses. Now, the pose matching node, what it does is the pose grabber node that Ethan just put in
Okay, yep. I'll go back over here.
Yeah, that pose grabber node, it does as it sounds. It grabs grabs a pose. So it stores the most recently played output pose of your animation, your locomotion graph, or what your animation graph, saves that, and then on the next update, if you are transitioning into a state that uses one of my pose matching nodes, that pose matching nodes requests that pose matching occurs. It accesses that pose that was saved or cached, and then it goes through either the sequence or the blend space, searches that asset for the pose that most closely matches the previous pose that was output by your animation graph. And then it starts playing that asset at the time that the pose was found. And this minimizes the difference between the poses. So when you transition from one state to the next, it makes it as smooth as possible. And of course, the smoothness depends on the animations themselves. You can't necessarily mix one animation set with another animation set and expect perfect fluidity. But given that the animations are meant to work together, this will limit the hitches that you would find when transitioning between states. So, I don't know, Ethan, if you want to add something else.
Yep, I'm just going to add, tie it into what I'm doing right now, or what I've done in this graph, is that you can specify the bones that the pose grabber node uses, and it uses for the pose matching. So in this case, I've chosen both foot bones, and I'm trying out an approach using the first spine bone and the last spine bone in the spine chain, but I may switch that over to using the left and right hand bones instead. But it's very, the systems, that the plugin is built in a way where while I'm just using it right now for locomotion, there's probably quite a few interesting use cases you could use it for in different places. Of course, it is going to be more performance intensive than just the normal sequence player node approach and the normal blending approach. But the nodes work in a generalized way, and the only limit on it is really how you can think of your imagination with how you use them in your animation system. So they're a very generalized sorts of nodes. Anywhere you could think, well, it might be good to put a sequence player here, use a sequence player. You could use a matching sequence player to pose match into the state.
Right, and I think I want to add a few things to that as well. Now Epic has a system that is meant to help animations sync together. And of course, this is using sync groups and sync markers. But those can produce their own share of issues. So essentially, this plugin replaces sync markers and sync groups. You don't have to use those at all. Now you can still use them if you want, but you really shouldn't if you have pose matching. There's no need to. And in fact, if you try to turn on sync groups while using my plugin and you have pose matching turned on, and maybe Ethan, you can, when you get an opportunity, you can show that there's various options in the nodes. You can do no matching, you can do distance matching, you can pose matching, and you can do a mix of distance and pose matching. But using that mixture, you will have to see how that works for you. But if you try to use my pose matching functionality in one of my nodes, and you try to also use sync groups, my pose matching will override the sync group internally. So it will essentially ignore the sync group if you're trying to use it while pose matching. Clearly, there's a lot that can be explained here, and I apologize if I'm kind of going all over the place and maybe not explaining this concisely, but you can, in Ethan's Discord, let's see, I guess, I don't know if you posted anything in the description here about my, oh yeah. Actually, it looks like in the description of this live video, there's a link to the marketplace asset. And I'm not saying go buy it, but you can find the documentation at the marketplace link, and you can read through that, and maybe that will help anyone who is still confused, because I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Maybe that help clarify points of confusion. And if you still have further questions, feel free to continue asking them. Let's see. Now there's other questions.
Yeah, they're really
Sounds
coming
great.
up now.
Yeah, which way did you use? So this looks like this next question seems to be directed probably toward me. Which way did you use to create this plugin, Blueprint, C++ or Python? Okay, so this is using the Unreal Engine, so it would be natively C++. None of this is in Blueprint, but of course you can access it via Blueprint just because I've created a node that you use. So you don't have to have any C++ knowledge. And I actually got this question the other day. You don't need any C++ knowledge to use my plugin. But if you want to, delve into it and try to understand how it works, you'd have to open up the source code and go through it, and then you'd have to have some minimal understanding of C++. But it is written C++ UE style. So hopefully that answers that question. I think the next question is to you, Ethan. Is this stream available later?
Yes, this will be up on my channel after the stream is finished. So it will yeah, you can definitely come back and watch it later in its recorded form if you're unable to continue watching while we're doing this live.
Let's see, what's the next one? I know this is awesome, but why does most walk animation a bit like hand movement to body movement compared to AAA? Most walking animations are bad. I don't know. That's partially preference, I would say. I don't know if you have a better answer for that.
Yeah,
Ethan.
I mean,
and AAA studios have a lot of money to pay a lot of really good animators.
Yeah, so that's one of the big differences between a lot of the animation packs on the Unreal Engine marketplace, Ryan's included, are using motion capture. In most cases, the Exyns motion capture suits, the Exyns. So that raw motion capture data, while it needs cleanup, in a lot of cases, the people creating these animation packs, I can't speak for absolutely everyone, there are quite a few fantastic animators, but when it comes to general locomotion animations, in some cases, the motion capture data gets cleaned, but you don't have in a lot of cases, like an industry-trained professional animator going through and making the animations look artistically fantastic. That's harder to pull off for just a single person, and the bigger AAA studios have a lot more time that they can invest into creating those animation assets that look good. Not to say that there are great animations on the marketplace. It really does come down to opinion and also what you are trying to look for, what you want for your game. In some games, a purely realistic animation that's just that cleaned up motion capture may be ideal, but in something more stylized and you'd want something that's an animation that's more stylized as well, and that stylization doesn't have to be just necessarily a super stylized art style, but it could be a stylized movement system where you're running at double the speed a person could run in real life and doing all sorts of other things, and then in that case you're going to want a more stylized, exaggerated animation, and you'd need an animator to come in and clean up motion capture or create something from scratch. I can't speak to which approach would be easier because that's not where my experience is at.
Yeah, and I mean, I would just say, with regard to my animation set, I'm not a professional animator, and you can probably tell, but I wanted to create something that isn't available anywhere else, which is an upright animation set that has coverage, like a lot of coverage. I think my animation set has the most coverage for at least what I'm aiming for, like locomotion coverage, than any other set, for strafing at least. So if I could have a professional animator come in and make my animations look even more clean and stylized, like a realistic stylized. Probably is not the best way to describe it. I would love that, but I don't have the resources to hire someone. Let's see. We have more questions.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here because I don't
like
think I could keep up with all of these myself.
It was good though.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
I think we're a little behind in answering some of these. So I'm reading from Bongo Edit. So the plugin gets the values of every bone on the last frame in the animation. Calculates this frame as closest value in new animation. It starts. Let me read that again to make sure I understand it. So one gets the value of every bone in the last frame. Okay, so
yeah, but it's definitely
it captures the pose.
You.
Yeah, it captures the pose that was outputted in the previous frame. So that's correct. It saves that information. And then when you have a state transition where one of my nodes becomes active, then it goes through the entire animation of that newly active node, stores the transforms of the whatever bones that you select to perform pose matching with. As Ethan described earlier, in the pose grabber node, you can select various bones. Usually, you don't want to select too many because there's obviously a performance requirement. But you can select the feet or the hands or the feet and the spine or whatever. You can mess around with it. But it will look through the animation, find the transforms of all those matching bones, do like just a difference comparison between the position of in component space, the position of those bones, the transform information of those bones to the transform information of the cached pose from the previous frame, and it finds the minimum. And wherever those are minimized, that's the pose that is chosen, and the time at which that pose exists in that animation asset, that's when that animation asset player will begin playing. So I'm hoping that helps. Hopefully that was clear. It looks like Bongo Edits also said he has a motion capture suit, and this. See, I hope I didn't skip anyone. Oh yes, if you have a motion capture suit, you can create your own animations, and this will help with transitioning between animations in the locomotion system. But you still want to, of course, make sure your animations are smooth on their own without this node. Like this is to help, but it will not fix everything. If you have really crappy animations, this will not fix the transitions perfectly. It will help and assist in that. And then the next question: if I have experience in Python, can I create my own plugins for Unreal Engine 5? I know that there's some, like I don't know Python, but I know there's some way that you can work Python with Unreal Engine. I don't think you can make plugins for the Unreal Engine with Python. I've never looked into that deeply, but I'm pretty sure you have to write all the plugins in C++. There's something you can do with Python in Unreal Engine, but I don't know enough to really. I would say I'm not an authority on that. But all plugins I've seen are written in code. Plugins I've seen are written in C++, because the engine itself is natively in C++.
Okay.
Oh, this next question is for you, Ethan.
Okay.
It says, I have a question for Dev School. Do you help people in your Discord for Unreal Engine animations?
Yeah, I try to. I'm not always the greatest at responding in a timely manner. I'll definitely admit that, especially in the weekends where I'm not away. I am trying to be on there more often, but when I'm not there to respond in a timely manner, Ryan, I think, might be a bit better at me at actually responding to people. And there's other people in the Discord server who are really helpful and who I'm really grateful are there and always interacting with people. So it's definitely, I think, at this point, it's become a good place to go for a community of people to interact with the community who is largely locomotion focused, because that's what I ended up doing with mostly on my channel. That actually wasn't my original plan, but that's kind of the niche I settled into so far with this one. So definitely it is a good place to ask questions. I'll try to respond and help out when I can, especially when it's related to what I'm doing specifically in my videos. But if I don't get to you in a timely manner, good chances are someone else will before I do. So I definitely recommend it.
It looks like you got a new person in the Discord now.
Okay, so I'm getting the difference between the location and the previous location, each frame inside of an update function bound to the start sequence matching player node, or blend space matching node, I mean. So I'm switching over into teaching mode, I guess, again. There are two approaches I've seen to distance matching starts, and these were more of like prevalent approaches back in the Unreal Engine 4 days, before we had like the two distance matching nodes that Epic introduced through the Unreal Engine 5 and Lyra. And that was to either get to the start location and get the difference between the current location and the start location each frame, and that becomes the distance that you're distance matching for your starts. And that, while that approach can work if you're just moving in a straight line, the moment you start to turn or shift your direction, the actual distance you've traveled is no longer the same as your current distance from your starting location. So the more accurate way, if you're calculating a start matching distance manually, like I am right here, is to get to the difference between your location and your location on the previous frame, and to accumulate that frame by frame. That way, even if you're moving back and forth, you'd probably want to get out of the start state into that condition, really, but the total distance you've traveled is being tracked rather than your just displacement between one point and your current location. So that's what this logic is meant to do here, if I put it together correctly, and we'll see soon if things are working or not. So I have two functions bound to this node, one that resets that start distance floats variable when the node gets its initial... It actually should not be on its initial update, it should be when it becomes relevant. I did make a mistake there. That way it gets reset to 0 each time this state becomes relevant and the player is beginning to move. So, as Ryan mentioned before, these nodes have multiple modes. There's a matching type. You can choose between no matching, a pose match, distance matching, and pose and distance matching. And the great thing about what I'm trying to do relatively quickly and soon here is that I'm going to be showing the distance matching mode with the start state, the pose matching mode with the cycle state, and the distance and pose matching mode, so both together, in the stop state that I'll be implementing afterwards.
Okay, looks like we got
Yep,
another
I'm
question.
looking at
Let me
those
see.
now. Yeah, that is one advantage of this plugin, is that you can pose match straight into a blend space, and it's going to find the appropriate pose within the blend space to match. That's something I'm really wish had been around longer, because it's really useful and fun to work with. I mean, I say that, but I haven't really, unfortunately, found the time to work with it yet. This is my first impressions, but I've been talking with Ryan back and forth about it. He's shown me a lot of stuff using his plugin as he's been developing it, so I have been aware of it, and it's something I'm very excited about, and it's a tool that I am really excited to use right now in this stream.
It was actually developed so that we could use it in our own project that we're working on. And so this plugin is not developed just so I could sell something. It's actually developed because I wanted it and no one else had made it. So I will continue to work on it because I will continue to use it. So I will add functionality where I think functionality needs to be present, at least for my own game. So I imagine that any locomotion needs I have will be needed by other people. And obviously, some of those needs are already huge parts of the plugin.
So another cool feature about how Ryan has things set up here is that in the different modes for these nodes, it will gray out the settings that aren't being used by the mode that you've chosen. So in pose matching mode, the pose matching settings can be altered. Distance matching mode, it gives you the distance matching settings, gives you both in pose and distance matching, and graze them all out for no matching, which just makes it easier to keep track of what is actually affecting the result of what you're seeing with your locomotion system. I'm going to do distance matching. So we need a matching distance, and I've set that variable up, and I'm updating it in these toBound functions, so I'll bind that directly to this node. And I'm going to leave this on the defaults for now, and we'll come back to it probably later to tweak things in. But I want to see how this looks with the default settings. We're getting some more questions, so I'm reading through those now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm behind. Combine parts of 2 animations. Oh, this is an animation question, so it's not related to my plugin. If you want to,
Okay,
I mean, I can try to answer it, but if you want to answer it,
okay. Oh, I found it.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna read it out loud as I read it. I'm looking for a way to combine parts of 2 animations in Unreal to make a new one. I need to take some movement from parts of character and transfer this animation into other. Do you have a way in Unreal Engine 5? So that's going to be through the sequencer and the control rig, and that is not a specialty of mine. I know it is very possible. I've come across people who've done similar things using the control rig and the sequencer, but I haven't done that before. I can tell you it's possible. I don't know how, but if you want to join my Discord, the link is in the description, and send me a reminder. I'll add it. I'll try to keep that in mind and find where I've come across that previously, and if I find it, I'll send any resources I can find in your direction.
There's also a hacky way, which I've used before. I don't necessarily recommend it, but you could create an animation graph and then blend them together and then record it.
Yeah.
If you press that record button on the left, Ethan, if you know what I'm talking about, just so you can show it to him.
I'm actually I've never done this before.
So in the preview window,
okay.
You see at the bottom right of the preview window, there's that record button.
Okay.
So if you can, this is a hacky way, but if you can blend 2 animations in your anim graph and look at the preview in the preview window, you can then record that preview, and it records up to 60 seconds. So that can give you at least a starting point. You'll probably have to edit the output, but you can create a 60-second animation by, like right now, if Ethan was to record, it would just record what's being shown, which is just the idle animation. But you can create an animation graph just to blend stuff if you wanted and output that. So it looks like he's doing it.
Yep.
So there we go. So it says new animation created.
Yep.
And it's literally just what was in the preview window.
That is actually really useful. I can't believe I've never done that before, and I knew vaguely about it because you've told me about it in the past, Ryan, but I've never actually... I'm not sure if I would have had a use for it yet, but while it is a kind of quick and dirty way to accomplish it, it would be great to just even use as getting a starting point that you could then take into other software or elsewhere and edit, get the start and stop cut correctly, and makes it a lot easier than dealing with curves and timelines and additives inside of an actual animation software. So
looks like Bongo Edits already does that. There we go.
Cool. Okay, so that should be, well, the start state for now. It's just the hips forward and the motion. I'm trying to get like the most basic usable system here so we can see a full idle start to cycle and then back into idle before I go in and add a stop. So I'll go ahead and get the hips forward.
While you're doing
jog blend space.
Should I try to answer some of the other questions?
Yep, definitely. I'm trying to figure out a balance between questions and also what I'm doing here, but I haven't streamed a lot.
Yeah, you're the one doing all the work.
Yeah, so
I'm just talking.
This is new to me as well.
So let me see here.
I see.
Going back to one of Bongo Edit's earlier comments, so essentially you can mix and match a wider amount of locomotion animations without thinking too much into the starting frame, ending frame. Yes, exactly. That is the purpose, and it has helped me a lot because, gosh, getting those transitions to work was a pain.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is a miraculous fix. You still have to input proper blending. Like you'll have to mess around with the blend duration, and do you want a standard blend? Do you want an inertial blend? Blah blah blah. Lots of stuff. I mean, this isn't. I'm not promising that this is the miracle cure, but it should help a lot. It's helped me a lot. Okay, so the next one, well, it's going to be hard to explain, but can this be used like Red Dead Redemption 2, like a real-time cinematic cutscene? It seems like it can be used if you find your distance with the place you want cutscene to be. I've not actually worked much with Sequencer, so I don't think I can answer that question. I don't know, Ethan, if you have anything on that.
It could be possible. I mean, it would kind of be the same as the approach. It wouldn't be any different than like the result you'd get and the quality you'd get than like having a standard NPC that can move around in the world and you give it locations to move to, like target points. This is used to build like an animation graph that runs at runtime, so like the distance matching is going to make sure that stopping at that target point, like it all works out, hopefully. But it's if you're applying like a runtime animation blueprint to something that you're directing through the sequencer, then you could potentially do something there, but that's not something I've tried yet. And if you're trying to really get a high quality cutscene, it could do well enough as a starting point, potentially, that kind of approach, but you'd probably definitely want to do some additional editing as well. But
yeah, I've not done much with Sequencer. Yep. Especially real-time stuff, so I don't have let's put it this way, whatever you could do with an animation graph combined, like a real-time cutscene before, you can do it after with this plugin. So I would imagine that the quality would be a little bit higher with the plugin than without it, but I can't probably say more than that.
Okay, for this jog loop, I'm going to... Okay, well, it's set to pose match by default, which is correct. So there's a sample rate here. I'll leave it 30. I'm going to leave should match velocity off for now. I'm probably going to turn that on. I'm curious to see that. And there is this setting, Ryan, that you have here, which is use only highest weighted sample for pose matching, which
that's right.
is definitely something useful to keep in mind.
Can I explain that a little bit? I don't know.
Yes, you would be better at explaining it than I can. I get what it does, but you're going to explain it more eloquently than I could, as you're the developer, of course.
I think there's an option also to do the same thing for distance matching. Can you scroll down just to... I'm looking at the wrong screen, actually. Let's see. Use... Oh, yeah, there it is. So, yeah, in both... And this is obviously only present on the blend space node. The sequence node, it wouldn't make sense for this to be there. But in a blend space, as you're probably all aware, in a blend space, you put in samples. So like a sequence is basically considered a sample. Now, in the actual structure in code, it includes the sequence plus other information. But a blend space is composed of a number of samples equal to the number of sequence assets that you've put into the blend space. So that option, which is to use only the highest weighted sample, is... Let me see if I can... I mean, it chooses just one of the samples and uses the either distance matching or pose matching based on just that single sample. And that's going to be a little bit more efficient, because generally you will have at least 2 samples that the algorithm is running through while in a blend space. Assuming you have populated your blend space appropriately, you generally will have at least 2 samples that are being run through. And so you're gathering information from 2 samples. Obviously, that's going to cost, performance-wise, twice as much than just running through 1 sample. But the output will be better, potentially, by going through multiple samples than for just going through 1. But sometimes you can get away with just using the single highest weighted sample for pose matching, and it might be good enough. Now, I've found that for what I'm doing in my project, I prefer not to use the highest weighted sample. But for your needs, maybe that's all you need. And so you can save on performance there. So it's essentially just a performance saving issue, or option, perhaps better way to put it. I don't know if I explained that well, but
No, I
hopefully
think you
that
did.
came across.
Made sense to me at least. Okay, so I think this is ready to do an initial test run. I'm going to go ahead and grab the third-person content pack and just add that to the project. I'd never make a locomotion system in time if I put all the set up all the input code for a third-person character.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a great starting point.
It is. I think it's been a really long time since I've even started a third-person character from scratch. I pretty much always just start from the template and just change it
there's
and
no
work
reason
from it.
to not to.
Yep.
Especially if you're going to be primarily in blueprints.
Yep. Oh yeah, I can understand performance with virtual reality. I've been doing a bit of that more and more recently. I got a Quest 2 headset this most recent. Was it this? Maybe it was last year. I think it was like summer of last year that I got it. Yeah, it was. And so I've been doing some VR development there. Not a lot. I might eventually do some VR related stuff on the channel, but I'll have to actually really figure out what it is that I want to do there and what I'm even doing in the first place, because it's a learning process before I get around to that. But,
And with regard to performance, there are some other things that I'm considering adding to the plugin. Because currently, all the comparison and stuff is done at runtime. Well, the comparison will still be done at runtime even after the edits I make. But what's being done at runtime now is you're going through the entire animation, and at the frame that you want to pose match, you're going through the entire animation, and then picking all the transforms from every interval throughout the animation based on the sample rate, and then comparing all those to the previous pose that was output by the animation graph. Now, obviously, doing all that requires some time for everything to be done. Now, what I've considered doing is creating an option where you can use curves. So curves that are created offline, and there can be perhaps an option in the pose matching functionality that if you click a bool or whatever, instead of doing everything at runtime, it will do a lot of it based on curve information that you've stored offline that is used at runtime. So it should save on performance there. That's not currently available in the plugin, but it's something that I do intend to add in the future because I want to make this plugin optionally more performant. I missed what happened, Ethan. Sorry, you were.
oh no,
you
it's
just tried
fine.
something?
Yep, but I'm gonna go back there in just a moment. I had the wrong mannequin selected, and so let's take a look.
Oh wait, isn't that the wrong one?
Yeah, it is. That's the Unreal Engine 4 mannequin.
That's definitely the wrong
Yeah.
one.
I was wondering why the pose looked so strange. It's interesting that it actually didn't give me errors and played
I
and
thought you were gonna
mapped an
crash or
animation to
something.
it. Yeah, I was worried there too. And of course, now I go back and select the wrong UE5 mannequin.
Well, while you're figuring out the correct mannequin, I will respond to this.
Okay.
When I first started UE, I'm still new. I always thought to myself, maybe I'm learning too slowly. Now that I see dev school trying to figure out the plugin, I'm happy everyone starts the same. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
the end
we're all a
result.
mess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult. This program is like so many, like, just think of the scale of everything that's inside Unreal Engine, and then think of the complexity within a standard computer program that you'd use, like Word. You type things in, you can learn it quickly, and then this, it's like at least 10 big programs, if not more, all combined into a single thing, and it just is continuing to grow. And yeah, there's a lot that I don't know, a lot that I'm still learning, and a lot that I'm still learning even in the subject matter that my YouTube channel has been focused on with locomotion. So
There we go. The
Yep.
nice teal Manny.
And
Oh
it's
wow.
it's using the walking start, I think, but the speed is the
Yeah, you don't
default
have a play rate
600.
clamp.
Yep.
Oh, and that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so gate is set to 1. I'm gonna hard code it to 2 in these blend spaces. Everyone, they're set up along 2 axes. You have the locomotion angle from -90 to +90 for hips forward, and I think it's the same for hips backwards as well. But then gate, you have 0, which is it moving in place, which helps with your blending. If you want to blend between gates, there might be a little bit of foot sliding. I'm not sure, Ryan, you probably know that, but it's a lot better
Very
than
minimal.
blending between
Yeah.
idle and a walking animation. So useful to
And
have.
ideally, you'd have a start
warning
that
as well.
transitions into that anyway, so it shouldn't matter.
Yep. But I had the wrong gate value hard coded since this system doesn't support gate transitioning yet, and probably won't.
Probably won't.
That would be too long for this stream alone. There we go. That was a bit better.
Wow, that's quite fast.
But still quite fast, yeah. We're taking these. That is one thing about distance matching, is that it does just kind of just speed up the animation, and this is going significantly faster than the animation. And we could clamp the play rate, which is what you'd want to do. And I'll go ahead and my editor just froze on me for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to.
The
it's
speed's
back
probably
now.
too high. Yeah.
I'm going to leave this at the 500 it was set to, and
oh dang,
that is high. But I'm going to demonstrate the clamp, because you all saw how absurdly fast that was, and that's because the clamp is allowing the animation to be played up to 5 times speed. So I'm going to lower that down to 1.5, and now this could introduce foot sliding, because it wants to distance match faster, and that's where you're playing with trade-offs if your speed is significantly different than your animation.
Yeah.
So right now there's no blend times. The blend time is set to 0. And I noticed a big jump with the arms, and I think that has to do with the bones that I'm actually evaluating to do the matching.
Because that did not look like a good pose match.
It did not, but I'm not using the hands.
Oh, the other thing is, you don't have a inertialization node either.
Oh, yeah, I don't. I did intentionally set the blend times to 0 to observe the poses themselves, but
then it might have to do with the actual bones you're choosing. I usually choose the hands. Yeah, because that looked really bad.
It did.
I think
I had a feeling it wouldn't look good. I just wanted to try the approach from the alternate approach of using the spines and the feet.
Yeah, that might be useful if because currently I only have the ability. My plugin allows you to match positions and velocity, but it doesn't match the. What am I trying to say? The rotations. Now, do you have the most recent version of my plugin where I fixed the bug?
I believe so.
I
hope so.
Because that does not look like it. Can you put the debugging on?
Yeah, I can. I really hope that I didn't, completely forget to update this before the stream.
So there's an option of show debug shapes on that. Well, on that one too, but even on the.
Okay, I'll just do it here then. I see.
And we'll have to turn that one on, and you'll have to turn the other one on. So if you go back to the loop, and scroll down to, because you're only pose matching on that one, correct? So you have pose match, you have sample rate. Okay, you don't need to use the highest weighted sample. So if you scroll down further, there's that option.
Okay.
And that should be good. Now I'm curious, if you play it in slow motion, I'm curious to see what happens with the pose matching.
I'm going to go ahead and lower the speed here to match the speed of the actual animations as well. So slow motion, and let's see. if I forgot to update the plugin to the version. That was the whole reason we delayed the stream.
Yeah, that would be bad because it's gonna make my plugin look like it doesn't work. Yeah, that looked horrible.
Okay, so
You
let's see.
Now people are gonna be like, "Yeah, I don't want that crap."
Oh,
Oh yeah, you
yep.
have the old one.
I do
Look
have
at
the old
thumbnail.
one. Yep.
Oh my gosh,
Gosh,
Ethan.
wow. That's well.
I updated the thumbnail and everything. Well, at least that we know for sure you have the old crappy
Yep.
one.
So everyone, those bad poses were because I'm running an old version of Ryan's plugin.
I had a known bug that I fixed.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
How are you gonna fix that one at runtime? Hey, you can just put in the new one. Do you have the?
Yeah, I'm going there now.
You have my GitHub access.
Yep.
You can.
I'm grabbing it right now.
All right, hold on, everyone. He's doing stuff off screen.
Yeah.
Or at least off screen that we can see. So.
And I remember my GitHub password. That is the question because for some reason I'm not logged in.
Good.
Okay, I can.
Jeez, man, you're scaring me. I'm like, there's no freaking way. It's not working. Because I'm literally using it in my own project.
Yep. Gosh, that was.
And the sample project that I released. So I guess I'll take this time to say anyone who purchases my plugin also gets a sample project that it's basically based off of Lyra, but instead of using Epic's distance matching and sync markers and all that, we're just using well, my plugin. So using my nodes and pose matching. Let's see. The question is, swap it out? Straight swap? Yeah, it should. I mean, you'll probably have to exit the editor.
Yep, I'm gonna be restarting the editor.
And then just swapping the folders, the old one for the new one.
Yep. So.
And I don't know what we'll have to do.
Doing that work off screen here. So let me try to remember the directory to the marketplace plugins here. Been a little while. I feel like there's something I was forgetting, and of course it's the biggest thing I could possibly forget.
Well, you could just go to the marketplace and download it from the launcher if you want, because I do have the newest version online.
Oh, okay.
So that'll make your life easier. There's probably an option to update.
I thought I checked that and there wasn't. Okay, so I do think I checked that actually this morning. So until this point, I was thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell because that crappy thumbnail.
Oh, yep, look at that. It didn't give me the option this earlier, but. Oh, it says it's already installed, so it's not giving me the update.
What if you? What? What if you go to your library?
I wonder if that's it.
And you can have the option to update it. That's very strange.
Mm-hmm. It is, and I did check that today. I remember that now. I feel a bit better about myself. And I thought, oh, okay, it is updated to the most recent version. But no, there is like a little orange information icon that says updates available.
Oh, so there is. Okay.
Yep, but it's not letting me update it. Oh. Okay, that is really strange. Well, I'm just going to, for the sake of speed on this stream, I have a feeling it's a problem with my Epic Games launcher. I'll look into that. I'm going to find the project file, and I'm just going to toss the updated plugin into the project plugins folder. Because, yeah, so...
Will that overwrite the engine version, though?
No, I'll have to disable one and enable the other.
Oh, I've never done that before.
Neither have I.
Wow, we're just full of things on this live stream
today. Yes, we are. Hopefully I hope you're all entertained. Yes. But yeah, everyone, to summarize what's going on right now, I had an old version of the plugin because the Epic Games launcher told me that I had the most recent one. Essentially, even though it actually hasn't been updated. So we ran into a bug that Ryan has fixed, and now I need to figure out...
So I'll answer this question while you're looking. Okay. So is this 5.2 only? Yes, it is 5.2 only. The reason is, well, because I developed it in 5.2, and Epic is making some pretty dramatic changes under the hood for their animation stuff. So, I mean, I probably could have made it work for 5.1, but I don't see that. I would have to make some significant edits because even in 5.1, Epic had this hack. They even called it a hack. Like they named their little function hack, hack something.
I did not know
And
that.
I was like, are you kidding me? And it's in there. It was in their sequence. I think it was in their anim node sequence player. They literally had a function that says hack blah blah blah, and they said this is here until the fix in 5.2. I'm like, wow, programmers are funny. But oh yeah, so Bongo Edits is suggesting uninstall via launcher and reinstall. Hopefully it'll kick it into gear. Well, yeah.
I'll try this first. Might be a little bit faster.
So I didn't even see what you're doing. I was too busy.
Oh, I just on my second monitor I threw the updated version that I just grabbed from GitHub.
No.
Okay.
That.
So
I'm looking at the wrong screen here again. Here I go, looking at the delayed one.
Okay, so I will just try to force the update inside the launcher.
I guess it's a good thing that I switched thumbnails because now it's very clear that you're using an old version. I mean, I switched from a crappy thumbnail to a less crappy thumbnail. If anyone is an artist out there and would like to donate a better thumbnail, I would certainly appreciate it because I made my thumbnail in PowerPoint because I do not know how to do anything regarding art.
All right, everyone, the secret is finally out of the bag. This person you're subscribed to is having trouble figuring out where the remove from engine button is for a plugin. Turns out I do not know what I'm doing.
So you could just go to the marketplace plugins folder.
That's
which I think
probably what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm just going to have
delete
to
it directly.
Take the extra 5 minutes to find that. I have
let me see if I can find it.
I might have it. The problem is I have like 3 drives, and like at one point I installed a version on a different drive just to save space. So that's where. So program files, Epic Games. Here we go, right here. Didn't even take more than a moment. Plugins.
You can just delete it and replace it with.
Yep, gotta find.
Good thing you have a nice, soothing background on your desktop.
Yeah, it's just Windows 11 default, but yep.
Okay. Oh, you went to Windows 11? Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Yeah, when I got the new solid
Source
state.
of all your life's problems.
I got a new solid state drive and just upgraded to 11. Actually, I haven't really run into issues with it, surprisingly.
That is quite the surprise.
Yeah, it is.
Bongo Edits. PowerPoint thumbnails for the... Yes. Thank you for appreciating my PowerPoint thumbnail skills.
Okay, I've just swapped out the plugins from underneath the Epic Games launcher's nose. Let's see if this works.
Jeez. Please work.
Oh, I still have the plugin in the project folder, that file folder. I can't talk right now. That's probably why it's telling me that it needs to be rebuilt.
Did you get the plugin from GitHub?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Darn, it is still telling me to rebuild from my IDE. Okay, well, let's do this.
Make it a C++ project, and wow, that's a pain.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying something else first. I'm swapping out the plugins in a weird way that I would not recommend everyone, so I'm going to create... This is a train wreck of a stream. I'm going
Yeah, well, maybe people can learn something of what not to do.
Exactly. Okay, so... Oh, I do not have the UUSC animation set in my vault, so I cannot create a new project. I need to go over to GitHub.
Smooth sailing we have here.
Yeah, very much so.
Let's see. 5.2 projects aren't backwards compatible with 5.1. Has this always been the case with Unreal Engine versions? I think so.
Alright, I'm just going to try to figure out how the heck to uninstall to remove the plugin.
Backward.
Oh. Here's what I'll do. I will...
What a mess.
Yep.
That's like my vault.
Yeah. And I somehow left my Epic Games Unreal Engine Marketplace plugin file folder, and I have to find it again. Program files. Epic Games 5.2. Oh, at least, drag the wrong thing onto the screen. Give you guys something to look at, even if it's not that interesting. Engine, plugins, and
Dang, your screen resolution is pretty high because this is very small.
I think I just got used to it and never bothered with finding the setting to toggle it. Okay, so I'm going to delete this out and back in the launcher.
So I'm reading Bongo Edit's comment.
Okay.
I guess I've never checked things being backwards compatible.
Yeah,
Probably because we haven't committed to a particular engine version. But
this
yeah, I guess
really
I mean simple things like that. Level meshes material. Yeah, it would be nice. What's the issue right now?
I deleted it out of the file, but the launcher still is telling me it's already installed.
Did you already restart your launcher?
No, that's a good idea.
Maybe also close it from Task Manager. If it doesn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've noticed if I don't close it directly from Task Manager, it keeps enough in the background to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I just ended the process through the tray right here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, looks like it's starting up again. It's telling me to please wait.
And even yeah, like all the patient viewers we have here, they're probably going to begin dwindling. Oh, they already have.
Oh my gosh.
I wonder if you'll have to. Can you cut the stream after?
I don't know. Hopefully.
I cut this large portion out.
Yeah, hopefully. Gosh, I can't believe. Well, at least I can blame the issue on the Epic Games launcher as opposed to my own complete inability to recall that I needed to update it, because I did, and I did try to update it. So, but it sucks. But at least I can put half the blame on the launcher and the other half on, maybe a bit more than half, on myself.
So it seems like we actually got 9 people, all down to 8. Well, we're hopping around a bit. So people who just hopped in,
yep.
There are some issues that are being worked out. Ethan had the incorrect version of the plugin installed.
The launcher told me I had it installed to the engine, so I thought it had the most updated version, but no, the launcher lied to me. Still won't let me install. That is really strange. Okay.
So can you just put it in your plugins folder in your project? Or did you already try that?
I'm tried that. I'm opening the project without the plugin. I'm going to
oh boy, I wonder what will happen. No one's getting cut.
It is open. Tools, new C++ class, none, next, whatever.
Oh, you're making a C++ project? Okay.
Yep. If I have, worst case scenario, I have to recompile from source with the GitHub plugin, because it's telling me I had to, so I'm just turning this into a C++ project to recompile the code if I need to.
Fun.
Yeah, really fun. Okay.
So Bongo Edits is suggesting that we share this on the Rococo Discord, maybe do a live stream for them too. I hadn't actually thought about that at all. What does it mean to do a live stream for them, though?
I think just to link like a live stream to them so that they see the link.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not in their Discord. You're welcome to send them the link to this one.
After you cut this part.
Yeah. Okay, so Visual Studio is open. Let's see if I can actually get this working here.
So I guess people who haven't... Oh, go ahead, Ethan. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of all I was going to say is that, again, yeah, this isn't... I have the wrong version of the plugin installed. The launcher is being really strange and not letting me update the plugin. Why did I double click to open it? That's not what I'm trying to do. What even am I doing? I lost my train of thought in that process.
Well, you made a C++ project. You wanted to see if you needed to compile.
Yeah, I was pulling up the folder through the launcher for the project, so that I can toss the plugin into a local plugins folder. No, that is not what I was trying to put in my plugins folder.
Bongo Edits is asking.
Okay,
We
here
are
we
getting.
Go ahead.
Wait, we are getting cut, fellas. No one's getting cut. I don't understand. What? Kafam is
Oh,
saying.
he's cutting this section of the video out, as he's just joking about that.
Yeah, you're all getting cut. Okay, thank you for explaining that, Ethan.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but I might download the live stream, do some cuts, and re-upload that as a video. It's alongside this live stream, and that way people have that. Okay, so now
let me answer this question. When did you? I fixed the bug last Wednesday. I uploaded it to the Epic on Thursday morning, and then I got confirmation, I think on Friday, that the edits had gone through. So it is in the store, but it's also on my GitHub. So,
ooh, build errors.
Oh, crap. Okay, show me.
Oh, no, it's not that. I left the project open.
Oh, and you have live coding active?
Yeah, I haven't turned it off in that project. I hate that it always turns itself back on.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
It really is.
Well, we got...
So we somehow managed to stay at around 8 concurrent viewers through this, which does surprise me.
Yeah.
I guess my Unreal Engine plugin version woes are entertaining enough.
Yeah, it's our skills of entertainment at this.
Yeah.
Boy.
While we're waiting for this to build, I should probably come up with a joke, but I just am not good at that.
I think this is the joke.
Yeah. Good point.
Bongo Edit says Visual Studios scares me. Yes, well, I also do not like Visual Studio because I'm not a programmer by trade by any means. I prefer Writer, so I use Writer. I used Visual Studio for probably a year, and then I got a free, because I'm an instructor at college, so I get access to pretty cool things for free, or at least a discount. And I think I got a discount on Writer, or it was free, I don't remember, for a year.
Okay, the build worked.
To trial.
Awesome.
So I use Writer. It worked?
Yes, it worked. So,
oh my gosh. Okay, let's see.
Epic Games Launcher is definitely... Oh gosh, there's so many things I don't like about it, but now I like it even less. Alright, let's check and see. Okay, yes, look at that. It's updated to the newer version.
Wow, look at, yeah, that new PowerPoint thumbnail. There we go.
Let's make sure the nodes are still in the animation graph.
Gotham says, maybe we are the joke. I'm probably saying his name wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in the audience is the joke. I think it's the two of us here chatting away.
And the Epic Games Launcher, I'm going to continue to place blame on it.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We'll blame them.
Mostly me.
They make a great engine, and then we'll blame them for the things that don't work. All right, now here's the test.
Yep. Okay, what was I about to... Oh yeah, I need to... auto-possess...
What happened?
Player.
I thought you already had this all...
I think I didn't save actually placing the game mode in.
Oh, now there's a ball in the air.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
Did you go... Oh, you put on slow motion already?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, wow, now it's preparing mesh... Okay.
Yeah, there we go. There's the match, everyone.
There's
that was
the
perfect.
Match everyone's been waiting for.
That was perfect.
I think you need to do that one more time because we waited so long for this.
Yeah, okay, so everyone, to make up for the 3 bad matches I showed, I think, I'm going to go ahead and go in ultra slow motion 10 times, burn this image of it matching perfectly into your brains.
Yeah.
That was instant transition into idle because I haven't set up a stop. So this is no blending. No blending, a 0 transition time.
That might just because my animations work
it's
really
because
well,
his animations work really well, but it demonstrates that if the animations match, the pose matching matches perfectly.
And even if the pose matching isn't perfect,
it's going to be closer,
the best possible.
The best possible. Yeah. So it's better than sync markers. If the animations don't match, it'll get as close as it can, and then blending on top of that is going to make it look better than it would with sync markers. So,
yeah.
Okay, back on track, finally. Okay.
Gosh. Bongo Edit says he works at a university. Oh, yeah, that's cool. I work at a 4-year school. I guess that wouldn't be technically a university, but it's a 4-year college. Is that a university? I don't know.
Okay, let's see. I'll go ahead and turn off the debug for now, and I'll go ahead and I'm pretty sure I guess I'll test out starting. Oh yeah, we're using a blend space. We're distance matching and pose matching a blend space, and I only showed you guys going forward in a straight line.
Yeah.
So let's rectify that, and I want to actually show.
Oh, but you have Well, it's not going to show the full blend space because I think you have orient to. What is it called? Orient to rotation.
Oh yeah, you're right. I left that's what I left I didn't change that setting. Yep, orient rotation to movement and use control rotation yaw are set to the defaults.
Yeah, which you don't for strafing. Those have to be set differently. Yep. So
orient rotation to movement has to be set to false, and use controller rotation yaw has to be set to true. So that's there. There we go.
So, again, this is all distance matching a blend space, which is not available from Epic. So only my plugin can do that. Now you're going to run into that ball. But it allows you to distance match and turn without... You don't have to transition from one animation to another because it's all done in the blend space itself as you're performing distance matching. So it's my favorite thing.
Yep, I'll try to show that off in slow motion.
Yeah.
So slow motion, I'm going to start by walking forward, and then I'm going to switch to walking 90 degrees to the right. So forward, we're in our start animation, and we blended within the blend space, so much smoother than actually swapping animations, I think. And so, yeah.
And minimal foot sliding.
Yep. Okay. So I'll move on and make a stop state, then I'll go back and add the hips backwards into motion, because if we start walking backwards right now, and there is no backwards coverage in the animation blueprint yet.
Yeah. You'll have to map the values too.
Yep.
You're pretty good at doing this quickly. If you didn't have that mess pop up with the plugin, you probably would have made the whole system already.
Yeah, I have gotten pretty quick at putting this stuff together with everything I've been doing for the YouTube series.
Yeah, impressive.
I'll just copy the start nodes. Okay, so I'll need to create a stop matching distance variable. So the start state used distance matching, the loop state used pose matching. This one is going to use both pose matching and distance matching. So I'm going to change
I'll say something
mode. Okay.
So the pose match and distance match option, what it does is on the first frame that the sequence, or not the sequence, the animation asset player becomes relevant, it will search for a pose, find the time at which that pose exists, like the one that matches the previous pose most, minimize the difference, and then we'll also do a distance match, and we'll choose between one of the times, because you can't do both on the same frame. So if the pose matching time is greater than distance matching time, then it will. Oh, now I'm forgetting how I set it up. It chooses one of them. I'm forgetting now. I'm confusing myself on stream, but it chooses one of them that will produce the best effect. So you may have pose and distance matching both active through that selection, but it will pick one of them that makes the most sense in that frame. And I'm trying to think. I need to look at my code real quick. Remember what I did. So I'll let Ethan take over as I do that.
Okay, I just realized I need to enable a few plugins here that I did not enable, that I haven't enabled yet. So
let's see, where's my
the animation locomotion library plugin, which is
oh, okay, here it is.
And animation warping. I think those are it. So I'll go ahead and restart this.
While restarting, I'll continue where I left off because I confused myself. So
okay,
if you choose the pose match and distance match option, then that first frame that the asset player becomes relevant, it will do a calculation for distance matching, find the time to play, and will do a calculation for pose matching, find that time. It will compare those two times. And if the pose matching time is greater than the distance matching time, it will play the distance matching time. Because after that first frame, whatever frames follow that will be distance matched. So you don't want the time to be further ahead in that first frame than it would be in the second frame, because then the animation asset would play in reverse. So there's a little bit of a, it's not always going to pose match necessarily. It depends on the situation. So this is one of those options that you're going to have to play around with. It's an option that's there, but you're going to have to play around with it to see if it works best for you. In the stop state, I generally just do distance matching. I don't bother with the pose and distance match option. But Ethan, you can play around with it and see.
Okay, we'll see
how it goes for you. I wish I could post code. I would post this little section. It might explain what I'm saying better. It wouldn't look good in the... I probably ran out of characters, actually.
Yeah.
It's only like 2 lines, but still. Let's see. I've forgotten to look at the chat. Let's see here.
Okay. I have not looked at it in a bit.
I like it. Looks like Team Fortress 2 movement smoothness with locomotion. I am not familiar with that, actually, that game. But I'm glad that the smoothness is appreciated. I worked hard on those dang animations. For not being a professional animator, I am happy with the coverage and the transitions of the animation set. Let's see, just technically speaking, this functionality is possible to do before runtime, meaning for that. So I'm reading Bongo Edit's most recent question. It says, technically speaking, this functionality is possible to do before runtime, meaning further optimization is possible. Is this correct? It can partly be done like offline. And not all of it, because you do have to have the comparison done at runtime. But the extraction of the transform information does not have to be done at runtime. So let me say this, like those very skilled people out there making motion matching plugins, like Ken from Motion Symphony, and of course those who work for Epic who are making their motion matching plugin, they do all the extraction offline. So they have you do the pre-process session, like you put your animations into a motion data asset, and then you pre-process. So it extracts all that transform information offline. So theirs is much more in depth. It has more functionality than just pose matching. Mine's a lightweight plugin meant to do distance matching with pose matching, and it does it with blend spaces, so it still has functionality that theirs doesn't. But what I was mentioning earlier is that through curves, that would be a way of doing a lot of the transfer or all the transform extraction beforehand. But curves kind of make your animation assets look ugly because you just have a bunch of curves. So you could say that after you've already done testing using the pose matching at runtime, you can then, once I implement the option, which again is not yet available, but I intend to make it available, implement the option to use curves. You can use that once you've solidified which bones you want to match. So curves would be the option to extract information offline through an animation modifier and then access the information at runtime, which will save on performance. Okay, now I'm going back to what Ethan's doing.
Okay.
What is it that is being done here?
Trying to test out the stop state. Something is, I think, wrong with my transitions.
Okay, let's see.
So I'm going into the whole preview mode here so that I can see what's happening as I play.
Okay.
So start, cycle, okay.
Oh, it's transitioning too soon, I think.
As soon as I'm transitioning based on whether or not the character movement acceleration vector is greater than 0 or not. So the moment I fingers off the
check
input,
velocity, I think, too. Because you don't want to transition until your velocity 0 from stop to idle.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing from stop to idle is velocity equal to 0. Cycle to stop is acceleration. Yeah. I'm wondering if the character is just stopping too quickly. So here's what I'm gonna full screen this again.
You want me to check my settings in my project?
You can if you want.
Because my animations work best with a lower braking friction or a braking deceleration. I get confused with these different things. Let's see here. Let's look at this braking deceleration walking.
I'm gonna pull the acceleration, the velocity out of the transition from stop to idle, and I'm gonna change that to be just an automatic one when the animation is finished playing, and I've set stop just to pose matching. And then I'll look at that on distance matching.
I have a... Once you run through this, I have a thought.
Okay, you can share it right now.
So I don't know if you have it set to advance time naturally after you've reached the position.
Oh, I don't think I did do that.
So
there we go.
So, well, you don't want it toggled on. You want to probably expose it as a pin or bind it to something bool that you set in a bound function.
Yeah, I had a brain fart there.
Well, you got a lot going on. I'm trying to make a whole system live.
Yeah, fair point. So stop matching differences. I'll say point. I'll say 5. Maybe it could go a bit smaller.
Here, let me see what I have for this. Where's my stop? Update stop. Yeah, so I don't know if this will be helpful, but I tend to toggle that to be true, the advance time naturally, when the matching distance equals 0.
Okay.
So I say when it's greater than 0, it's false. Okay. That's my condition.
So I was giving it too much wiggle room.
And just to explain what's happening, to advance the time naturally just means you essentially turn off distance matching. You want to allow the animation asset to play as it would normally without being messed with. I wonder why that's still happening though.
I'm going to
because it's like it's entering Can you do the animation debugger?
Yeah.
And you have it set to what is this? Oh wait, you're not feeding in oh wait, you are feeding in matching distance. How are you calculating the matching distance? I wasn't watching.
I'm just getting the distance between my current location, and I'm using Epic's predict ground movement stop location function.
Uh, the difference. Oh, so that calculation,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is already a local calculation.
Oh, you're right. It's been too long. I forgot about that.
So you don't need to
You're right.
make it local.
That's the issue. I'm glad you thought of that, because I would like debugging that value for some reason was not nearly close. Was not as close to the top of my list of priorities of things to debug as I should have. So everyone, this function returns a local value relative to the character's current location, and I was treating it as a global value and making it relative to the character's stopping location. So that.
Okay, well, now it still doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm going to.
What is happening here?
Go ahead and print my distance for my stop matching distance variable. Yeah, this is what it actually looks like creating locomotion systems.
You have to negate the
Oh,
value.
negate. Yep, I bet that's it.
So this is an opportunity to show another piece of functionality. Yeah. So you can explain it if you like.
Okay. So
in the stop state node.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up an animation here.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go in the teaching mode. That's good.
Okay, so we have a distance curve here, and the way that Epic set things up with Lyra, and it's the same way that Ryan has set up the distance curves with his animations and his nodes, is that these distance curves range between some value and 0 when starting. Let's see. Oh, I chose the in-place start animation. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Here's an actual start animation. So the value starts at 0. By the time the animation is finished, the distance traveled has been 170 units.
It's positive.
Yep, so it goes up in the positive direction. But for stops, the way Epic did it in the Lyra and the way Brian has done it with his animations, I'm having trouble talking and typing at the same time. I typed stops as I said stops instead of just the word stop. Okay. For stops, it starts with a negative value and works its way up to 0. So, what we're going to do, what Ryan has already given us the ability to just tick a box and negate the distance value that we calculate so that it is a negative and lines up with the animation's distance curve. But if that option wasn't there, we would just multiply this distance value by -1. Do I have that tab open? No. We would multiply this value by -1 so that it aligns with the same range of values as the curve. But Ryan does that inside of his node if we toggle that, so we don't have to do that extra work ourselves in the graph. Oh, there's the biggest issue of all, Ryan. Do you know what I did?
What?
I copied and pasted the start blend space and forgot to swap out the actual blend space asset.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, so everyone, this is what it's actually like creating a locomotion system. My videos are very much practiced and edited down. It's like this for everyone. Maybe I'm a bit faster and have a bit more knowledge about these things, but I forget to put in the blend space and to advance the time naturally and to negate the distance value. And I'm glad Ryan's here because it actually has been a really long time since I've set up distance matching. A really long time, since background when I was doing, I think, like the Lyra video series, so it's been maybe even almost a year since I've touched actually putting a distance matching system together. Which I'm surprising myself saying that out loud because I did not realize that. Okay, putting a system together that doesn't use it's not like a copy pasted Lyra approach. I'm doing things a bit differently here, and it's been a long time since I've done things the slightly more traditional way, I guess. So we need walk, jog, stop.
I think it will only be because I couldn't get the jog stops to blend with the walk stops.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think it will just be jog stop.
Okay. That's fine.
Mixing gates with stops did not work well in blend spaces.
Yep, and you wouldn't really need to.
No, you wouldn't.
Because you're not like input and switching things around. You're going to go back into a different locomotion state out of stop. When you're stopping. Any gate change is going to appear after you've started moving again, because that's just affecting the clamp on the acceleration being applied to the character. Is how it works.
So
in the
it is still a blend
component.
space. It's just there's not a blend space between gates.
Yep. So
animation.
Wrong folder.
Oh yeah, yours isn't set up like mine.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, ha! And I forgot, my stops are set up into quadrants, so I could get them to blend well. So as everyone who can see who's watching, quite a lot of effort was placed into figuring out how to get animation sequences to blend within a blend space, because it's not trivial. It is extraordinarily painful. That's why if you go and purchase, I think, any other animation set on the marketplace, you will find that stops, starts, pivots, if they have them, do not blend together. Loops are easy to blend together, but all the transition animations will not blend because it's very difficult. You have to go in thoughtfully while making the animations to ensure that they will blend. And even then, it's a pain. Oh, so you're making... Oh, that's different. I didn't think about doing it like the way you're doing it. This is probably the faster way. No, I think I would have.
Actually,
this is the live stream version.
No, this is going to be bad because I'm gonna have 4 of these nodes, and if I change the setting in one, I'm gonna have to go and change the settings in the others. So it would actually be faster to do it the update function way. So I'm going to expose this blend space as a dynamic value, and inside this update function, I'm going to set... Will the set blend space node work with this, or do I need to use something specific to your plugin?
I have one for...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
so I made a special... This is actually an opportunity for you to show this.
Okay.
I don't do it this way. I just set a variable called like stop blend space or whatever, and I just change that. But this is... I've never actually tested this, so I think it works. We will find out.
Oh, okay.
If it doesn't, I'll have to submit an update.
Okay, and setting a variable would be a bit simpler too.
Actually, because you have to plug in the variable anyway.
Yeah, your node automatically does the inertialization when that variable changes, right? So this is actually, we can do it in a simpler way and take advantage of... Like, Ryan has made things really easy with his nodes in a lot of ways. But he's still also provided functions that match more of like a Lyra-like approach for distance matching and things, so that you can take whatever approach you want to take. And if you want to have more control.
And also, in addition to that, if you don't want to use my nodes at all, but still want my functionality, you can use the native like sequence player and blend space player nodes, but then you just have to make sure you use the blueprint functions that I made, and you can use those in conjunction with Epic's nodes to add functionality. But I think that's kind of a roundabout way of doing it, but I still provide it anyway. I think your best bet is to just use my nodes. Plus, I like the color of my nodes. So it makes my graph look prettier.
Guess it might actually would be logic I'd have to put in here anyway. I'm going to go ahead and I'll need this eventually, so. An enumeration. What I'm doing for those of you who are watching is creating an enumeration to keep track of the quadrants of motion along the locomotion angle. So I'm going to set this value inside my update graph. I'll create a variable. I'll name it direction.
While is this for the stop state that you're making this?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be probably using it elsewhere, but go ahead. Yeah.
So in the stop state, I make it based off quadrant, not locomotion.
Oh, right. Yep. It's the -90 to 0, 0 to 90. Gotcha.
Right.
So I will come back to this momentarily then.
And I realize it's kind of unconventional to do it like that, but in order to make everything blend.
Right, that way it's blending on an animation as opposed to in a space between animations.
Yeah.
So that makes plenty of sense.
For the stop state, there's no input. So it's not like you're going to be, there's not going to be any hitch because you're not going to be changing from one blend space to another while stopping because there's no input. So you're going to stick with that all the way till you.
Yep, and we're going to have to look back to chat soon too. I don't think either of us have been looking at it for a while. Someone has just said they've forgotten us.
So, yeah, well, there hasn't been that. Wait, did I miss stuff? Well, TF2 usually. Okay, yeah, I did. Sorry, guys.
Okay, that's on me too.
Okay, see, TF2.
Okay, we're not too far behind.
What is TF2, Ethan? Do you know what
Team Fortress 2, the game.
Oh, that's right. He said that already.
Yep.
Okay. Actually uses 4-way directional movement, but it looks really smooth. It's the same with your. Yeah, I mean, I think Fortnite uses the 4-way, and Lyra uses the standard 4-sequence directional movement. I have spent a long time trying to figure out a better way. I'm not claiming that I've made a better way. I've just made a different way that I like better because I think it allows smoothness without the same limitations, but does it add some other limitations? But anyway, yours does this with looking like 8-directional movement. Yeah, I wanted the 8-directional movement feel and freedom because when you distance match and you transition from one animation to another, it is quite difficult to make it look good, especially if the animations aren't authored to look good in the transitions, because you're orientation warping, and it's really difficult to make that look smooth. And I don't want to say it's impossible because AAA studios have skill and resources, but I don't have that level of skill or that level of resources, so I thought this approach would be more efficient and I think more effective. But of course that's opinion, but it's working well for me, and I hope it'll work well for others. And anyone who uses anything that I provide can offer input and help me make things better. Let's see. Maybe you can add. Oh, okay. He was offering some input about how to fix some of the stuff. Yeah, I guess we haven't looked back for a while. Okay, well now, guys, I'm looking at the stream, so if you have any further questions, feel free to ask. My eyeballs are glued to the chat right now. As Ethan sets up his stop state stuff. Meanwhile, I am providing support in my Discord for someone asking me a question about the plugin.
Okay. Okay, I should have the blend space variables set, so I'll bring them in and put together some logic to choose between them. What would be the simplest way to do this?
Probably just the angle.
Yeah.
I guess that's the nice thing about the quadrant. It's simpler than doing the direction, like forward, left, right, backwards. All right, let's see. What is he saying? He says, "My advice still relevant. Maybe you can add more number to greater float because character velocity not stopping, but with greater being 0, your animation stops." Okay, I don't fully understand what that means. Perhaps we'll understand it better when Ethan returns to demonstrating the stop state after he figures out how to select the proper blend space. So we'll come back to that suggestion.
Yep, we will.
Hopefully we won't have to, because everything will just miraculously work. But I have doubts about that.
Okay, so that's 0 to 90. 2 is 90 to 180. Looks like the same order I put these nodes in, which is good. 3 is negative 180 to negative 90.
Yeah, I actually labeled the quadrants not... After I did it, I realized, wait, that's not the way it's usually done in math. I'm like, whoops. My bad. I think I went clockwise instead of counterclockwise. But I already invested it, so
that
my
should be
time
3
size,
and that
like,
should be
whatever.
4, yeah. And I'm just grabbing the wrong nodes. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I'll just... Sure, there's a more efficient way to do this logic, but since we're already so behind on this stream, I want to get something kind of working before I end it. I'm just doing this the probably unoptimized, but
you could do oh, never mind. Yeah, I mean, this is like the accelerated approach. So hopefully no one thinks this is all best practice.
I mean, it works. Probably not best practice, but if it functions and your game is within your performance constraints, then I'd call that a win.
Yeah.
Every time.
Sure.
At some point like Ryan has a fantastic sample project if you get his plugin that you can reference. That's going to be put together better than what I managed to put together within 2 hours, but I thought it'd be fun to try to challenge myself to see how far I could get, and well, you've seen I haven't gotten that far.
I have to put a disclaimer though. My sample project uses Lyra animations because I don't want to distribute my animations because they're not free. The Lyra animations are free. So my sample project that comes with my plugin just includes an example setup.
Yeah, I forgot to mention animations.
But at least Ethan's showing you how to get started. If you were to use my animation set, this is one way to get started with that. Those animations.
Yep, to address the most recent question, you can just take a reroute node, and so if you have different pathways of logic through your blueprint code, you can kind of tie them all up back into a reroute node as opposed to dragging out from, so you can kind of recombine after you branch out along different pathways into a single thing. So if you want to split away on a condition with the branch, do something or another thing, and then you can bring it both back in. You don't even have to use a reroute node. You can plug in multiple nodes. Okay, well, not to a single return node in a... Oh, wait, no, here it goes. Now it's doing it.
Yeah.
So, really, the reroute node I just put there for organizational purposes, that'll work too. I don't think there's anything else I want to put after this, but if there is, I can just put our reroute node back in. But it is super useful to help control the logic flow in Blueprints. Being able to, you can plug different branches of logic back into a single node so that things converge together again. Okay, where are we? I think that should be setting the blend space.
Make sure you plug that variable into the blend space.
I'm
Oh wait, no, I guess you did already.
Yeah, I
You
bound it to it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's see.
Here it
Before I
goes.
start, how much does everyone want to bet that I forgot something again?
Yeah.
Okay, that was better. We're playing.
Oh,
So, yeah,
what?
my transition rules are all switched up from earlier.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Oh, you can't go from stop to start. I see.
yeah, that too.
Or from start to stop.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So another cool thing, I haven't gotten to showing this in the locomotion series that I've been doing because we've been in the cycle state forever. Was not my intention, but there's so much to explain. It'll all apply to the other states too, in a large part, like binding functions to nodes and all these other things. So the other states should go more quickly, but when you have multiple states in a state machine and you want to follow the same rules for transitioning, you can actually share transition rules, so you don't have to copy and paste your nodes each time. So you just go, you can share the blend settings separately from the transition rule set too, which is super useful as well. So I can promote this to shared, and I can name that stop. It'll give it a unique color, and then for all of these going into the stop state, I can just set that to use the stop rule, and now they'll both use this not as accelerating check. I'll do the same for start. I'll promote it to a shared named start.
Wait, did you mean to delete that?
No, I don't know what happened there.
That
was an accident on my part. Have all the transition time set to 0 for now. I'm going to go back in and get the blending set up once everything else is going.
Yeah, it won't look good when you go to stop for sure.
Okay.
Oi.
I'm going to turn on the debug there. I'd like to see what's happening. Oh, and we're not pose matching either. That's what I wanted to try, the pose and distance matching. Because right now we're just distance matching on the stop state, so there was a jump. I don't know how well.
It might still jump because it might choose distance matching over.
It was less of a jump. It did something weird just there, but...
Okay. So, I think it's choosing to distance match over pose matching. But maybe turn on the debug.
Yeah.
And see. Yeah, it's not choosing to pose match.
Okay.
But that has to do with the time. Maybe I should provide an option to override that. See, these are ideas when I watch other people create stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, it's not pose matching.
I will leave that on distance matching then.
But then just providing a small blend should make it look all right.
Yep.
Oh.
More messages.
In the stop state. Okay, one thing.
Okay.
In the stop state, there's still a play rate clamp. You don't want a play rate clamp on the stop state.
Oh,
you want it to be 0. So to disable the play rate clamp, just set it to 0. Both of them.
Okay.
Because the stop, you want it to go as fast as necessary to properly distance match.
That's right.
I don't know why it's playing again though.
Yeah. That.
Okay,
Oh, I know.
that looked fine.
I'm not resetting the stop distance at any point.
Oh, you don't. Oh yeah, didn't think about that. So, yeah, he's just resetting the stop distance to be 0 every time he enters the state.
Yep.
That way it doesn't use the value it used previously. It starts at 0 every time.
There we go.
Okay, good.
So we're distance matching the stop, and we can fix that blend. So I'll go ahead and go into the locomotion state machine. I'll select all these transitions at once, and I'm going to... I'll try 0.5 in inertialization for the blend with fast feet for the profile. And then back in the anim graph, does
blend
the
profile's a whole nother thing. Yeah.
Does the inertialization go before or after your pose grabber?
Crap, why am I forgetting? Hold on. I'm pretty sure it goes after, but let me just double check.
After makes sense. That way it's just pose matching between the actual animations and not the inertialized pose.
But I think I have the inertialization before.
Okay.
Actually. So inertialization goes before the pose grabber node, but any sort of procedural stuff will go after the pose grabber node. So like the RUYA offset or any sort of IK. What is that?
A weirdly long blend time, probably. I set it to 0.5.
Oh, shoot, that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious to see. Sometimes the long blends look good, and sometimes it depends. I just wanted to give it a shot and see.
Are you using a standard blend or inertialization? I know
inertialization for everything right now.
I prefer that because it's more performant, I think, than the standard blend. So if I can get it to work, I will. Oh, that looked kind of well, except for that part.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Well, everyone, you can see that making a locomotion system is an absolute pain in the butt, even if you have all the tools.
It is.
Why is it resetting?
I don't know. That's weird.
This happened to me before, and I forgot what the solution was.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think your movement direction might... Well, you don't even have a movement direction. Oh, when you get to 0, it sets your locomotion angle
to 0. It still shouldn't be playing back through the animation again. That's a strange... Oh. Is this set to loop?
It shouldn't matter. I think I disable it internally.
Okay.
But I do think you have to use a different locomotion angle.
You're right.
Make a separate stop locomotion angle. Once you reach 0, it doesn't change anymore.
Yeah, I did run into that issue myself, and now that you're saying that, I'm remembering that solution as well.
Or actually, you only have to set it in the upon becoming relevant down function. You don't need to update it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what I did in the last system I put together too. So the thing about the locomotion angle, everyone, is that it gets calculated from the character's velocity and rotation. And when the character's velocity vector is 0, it can't infer or calculate a direction based on that vector, so the locomotion angle becomes 0. And so we need to save our locomotion angle as of our last input so that we can track it inside of our stop state.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate that. You gotta laugh out of me with that message.
I just saw it. Looking at the previous message that he sent, I don't really like stopping animations. I think it ruins immersion because every time it does the same. Well, hey, if you don't want stop animations, that's one less struggle you have to deal with.
It is. It truly is.
Yeah, so if you don't want stop animations in your game, great. And actually, if you just use looping animation, like in my animation set, oh wait, no, I guess that, yeah, if you just use looping animations, I do have a blend between not moving, walking, and stopping. So if you slow down the speed, you can make rules. So you probably can get away with not using stop animations. If with my set, I mean, with plenty of other sets as well.
Like the
But I'm just
advanced
thinking of,
locomotion system is a great example of how you could implement that start and stop functionality with its foot locking for various animation sets. Because if I
yes.
remember correctly, it doesn't have any dedicated start and stop animations. So
You
it's
said
super interesting how that works.
You said the advanced locomotion system.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. He did that guy. Caleb's great. I don't know how he learned so much of that stuff so young, without all the resources we have now.
Still doing
what
the
just
whole
happened?
double. Like every other time, it seems. That is really weird.
It's like it's changing the animation or the blend space
I
in the middle.
think I know what's
To Are
happening.
you updating it instead of setting it on only becoming relevant? The blend
Yes, that's
space.
the issue.
Oh,
You're right.
yeah.
Good catch.
Actually, I think Epic does this in Lyra, which I do not understand.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
it's
good point. It is
unnecessary.
unnecessary. I didn't consider that up until now, but it makes total sense that you don't need to do that calculation every frame.
Yeah, not
You're,
in the stop
yeah,
state.
you're never going to switch stop
Yeah, because as soon as you
animations
put
because your
input,
direction isn't changing. You're going back into a start
right,
state.
right, and as soon as you apply input, you're switching out of that state. So you're in
Yep.
a new state now. So you don't need to calculate it every frame. Oh, so here's the con. That's why I said it looks like Team Fortress 2, or that's why I said Team Fortress 2 looks like your walk animation. It's looping as well, but yours with locomotion, so it looks more cool. Well,
There we go.
hey, that's a great compliment. I appreciate that you like my animations or that you classify them as cooler. I will take that any day. Okay, this is looking okay. There's no backward yet, so
Yeah.
that's why that didn't work.
No pivoting, but
Yeah, no pivoting. And so,
for what's inside of it, the system so far doesn't look that bad. For the amount of time I've put into all the blending where things line up properly looks good.
yeah, we are receiving some fair criticism about some leg glitchiness. True. That's quite a. Whenever you add something to in the attempt to be more realistic, the difficulty level does not increase linearly. It's some sort of non-linear function, I think, as you add more realism to the locomotion system. The difficulty with which you or the frustration level increases non-linearly.
Now I'm going to go ahead and, I mean, there's a lot, like, okay, so here's, like, the way it goes with making locomotion systems is, like, the first 10-20% of the time is getting this kind of functionality that I'm working on right now put together. The bulk of the time is really spent on getting it to actually look good and to figure out what's causing things like the legs being glitchy or oddities in the poses and the blending, and figuring out how to lessen those. And that's like,
Yep.
that's the hardest part of the process. Probably not something I'm going to have enough time to get to. This stream has already been going on for how long now?
2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours. Not as bad. I was worried it had gone on for longer, but I'll try to get some hips backward blend spaces worked into this as well. So I'll go ahead
You gonna try
and
for spins or
expose
no?
that as a pin. I could get spins in. I know I could definitely get them in. I have the logic for that worked out and worked it out really recently. If I had the time,
Yeah.
I would try for spins
Yeah.
and pivots. Maybe pivots still. Maybe I'll continue this with or without Ryan next week, too, because I don't like stopping this in the middle of a system. Though,
Yeah.
actually, I'm going to be covering this plugin eventually on the channel in a dedicated video. I may even work that in. So for all of you watching, I've been thinking about taking this plugin, taking my current locomotion system series, part of the original plan. Pretty sure I'm still planning on doing it. I mean, I haven't changed my mind yet, so I don't see why I wouldn't. But to make a video at some point along the line showing you how to take this plugin and use it just to make things a bit easier when it comes to the transitions, the blends between states, the distance matching. Once we get through all that stuff in the series, I'll probably show you an alternative approach using this plugin specifically, because it really is super useful. It's a fantastic tool to have. So I may wait until then to kind of conclude this, because what I'm starting on building here is quite similar to what's close to the final form of the locomotion system I'm building up to in my series, just built on top of blend spaces as opposed to sequences being swapped between and orientation warped. So there are some differences there, and both of those approaches are equally valid.
Yeah, just different.
Just different. It's easier to get a good result out of orientation warping with the variety of animations. With the blend space approach, the animations have to be made with the intention of being put in a blend space to blend together well, and Ryan has done that with his. And so you get the benefits of having a blend space, but in a lot of cases, it just doesn't blend well, and you want to go with like a locomotion direction enumeration that's being used to switch between a set of animations. You could do that with 4-directional and even 8-directional movement if you add in some more direction increments into your enumerator. So
You see the comment. He wants to see the finished part with chapters. He wants chapters in the.
Okay.
But yes, I mean I would too. This is the part that the bug fixing part certainly takes the most time.
Yeah. Okay, well.
But it has been like 2 hours. So I don't know if there's any benefit in going. Unless, I mean, that's up to you.
Let me see what time it is. It's 2:23 p.m. I'll take it at maximum probably another almost 40 minutes. Ryan, you do not have to stay if you're not able to stay, because I know 2 hours was the original plan, but I'll take it a bit longer, see how far I can go. But then there are definitely other things I need to get some work done on today too. And if you guys really want me to, let me know in the Discord or something. I will come back and do another stream and see if I can finish this out within another stream or two. If not, I'll be showing this kind of approach to a system in a dedicated video without all of me going all over the place trying to figure out why things aren't working. So it'd be a more streamlined experience, and you'd get the same information out of a video, which I will do regardless. So, but if you want to see it in that stream form instead, I'll happily continue to do streams with this. But okay, so
I think I probably should get going actually.
Okay.
So you might be alone in here. Well, no, you got 4 people watching, but
okay.
Or I guess I'm watching, so I might be including that number.
Oh no. I wonder if I'm included in that number.
I have I
might have it open in a tab somewhere.
Well, regardless, people watch it eventually.
Yeah, they will.
But yeah, ask questions in the Discord.
Yep.
Either ping me, ping Ethan.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna get going.
Yep. If there are questions specific to Ryan's plugin, ping him. He'll have the answers, where I might have to go ask him for the answers first if I'm trying to get back to you.
Right.
So.
Right. All right. You got one ghost in me. Yeah. All right, guys. It's nice being on here with all of you. I will see you
Yep,
later.
thanks for being here, Ryan. You've definitely helped.
Yeah,
I would not
no
have been
problem.
able to keep up with the chat, and I'd still be. You saw the solutions to my issues in quite a few instances before I saw them, so you've helped to speed things along too.
I'm good. I'm glad I could help a little bit. All right. I'll see you all later.
All right. See ya. All right, everyone. So it's just me now, and I guess I'll see. I'm going to try to find a different project here to reference some of my older logic. Hopefully, I still have it somewhere. I might as well show you guys too. Make this a bit interesting. So let's see, Unreal projects. I'm pulling it up on a different screen. Probably in this other folder here because it's related to YouTube. Yep. I'm not sure. This might be. I'm opening up a new project now. This might be it. It might not. I'm not too. I have a few named animation system testing. One of these is a much more complete version of what I'm going through in my current series that has some of the logic worked out, but also more incomplete. You know, that's going to compile shaders, so I'm not going to wait for that. So never mind that. Instead, I will just grab the animation system project that I'm using in the series right now, because that has some logic for. Yep, I can. That has some logic for managing the hip direction and hip facing that I'd like to implement into this system that I just did in a fairly recent video. So yeah, I'll see about. So what were you suggesting to do with this float? I'm looking back up through the chat, so I might find it. You do not need to type it out. I will find it eventually, but I could see how I'm assuming. Okay, yep, I see. So I'll swap this out with some different logic, and I'm going to check if this is less than a very small value. I'll say something like 0.1. And that should give it some more wiggle room, so that it doesn't have those issues. Because especially with the like floating point accuracy, you can get the like the 0.0000 so on and so forth 1 of like a difference. So having that range is good to have. I'll set that to 0.5. That's only would be half a centimeter. So okay. I'm not sure why my projects need to recompile their shaders today. I believe this is the most up-to-date Dev School locomotion system. No, it's not. This is further ahead. It has stop animations. Ah, this is the more advanced version of that system that I was mentioning previously. So, of course, not perfect. There's some blending that isn't finished, but yeah, it's definitely come further than I think. In a lot of ways, the actual one I'm working on for the series is a bit better than this one. And yet, actually, this is a different project here. One that I was going to reference some logic that I already had in. This is the current one So yeah, there's a bit of quite a quick transition out of that stop state. You are right, into idle. It does feel a bit jumpy. So looking at what I did in this one, because as you did see, it did not have that same issue. Looking at the feet, it looks like a really long inertial blend is what I did to address that, which isn't necessarily ideal, but it might be the right animation blueprint. No, not. I'm pretty sure I saw what that was. So the blending time is going to play a part too. That should be more than enough distance. Guess I don't have the tab. Okay. So stop to idle. I'm going to set this to not use the fast beat profile, and I'll set a longer duration of 0.5. And that should help. Whoops, the blend. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull up and close out of this project and pull up the Dev School locomotion system project. Could usually find it here. And every time I go to record, I see it really easily, but for some reason, I'm just not seeing it. This might be it, or it might be this 5.1 project. I thought I was working out a 5.2 for it. Okay, yep, here we go. Yeah, I've been deleting the stopping animation. And I could show you what that would look like without the stop animation. I could bypass it. And transition rule would just be... I need to get the velocity. There will be some foot sliding. So movement component, velocity, I'll say nearly equal to 0 with a tolerance of 0.1. So now if I go from the cycle state directly to the stop state, looks like that did not work. What's happening? I would need to get rid of this transition, which I can do for now. So there's foot sliding, a good amount, because the speed of the animation the speed of the character movement is not being tied into the blending between walking and jogging and that in place, and that's what you would need to do. But you could definitely forego the stopping animation and instead just do it with the cycling animations, moving into a slower variant, or just stopping more quickly with like a higher braking deceleration. Mine is really low, so turning that back up to the default which is snappier, more responsive movement, which is what is wanted in a lot of cases, and it does look better. So blending should be fixed now. Bit smoother. I need to set it to fast feet. But with a higher braking deceleration and a faster stop, it works. It can work, but the advanced locomotion system is what you want to reference. This right now is like just a straight up blend between cycle and idle, and that's not going to look great without having some extra systems around it to make that look better. And the advanced locomotion system does a fantastic job of pulling off a blend from a cycle state to stopping in a way that just looks really good. Like you'd almost expect there to be a stop animation, but there isn't. The quality is pretty much on the same level. It's just a different sort of approach. I definitely recommend you look at that because it seems like that's a really great approach. I can't give you all the details on the way that it works with its foot locking and stuff. I haven't even looked into that super deeply yet either. But it does a really good job. I can say that much. Okay, so in the dev school project that I've been working on in this series, I want to see, that would be in the locomotion layers layer. So yeah, I can show you that. That would be an example of blending between an animation that isn't aligned with perfectly with the other animations in the pack. So I'm technically using the skeleton that these animations were made on as part of this project. It's the UE5 skeleton, but there's a second UE5 skeleton that got added in when I added the third-person content pack to this. So I need to go into here to the mannequin that was added in. If I go to its animations, I can, I'll grab its idle, right-click, and I should be able to retarget it with the mannequin retargeter for the UE5 to UE5. And I'll retarget it to the mannequin, the same skeleton. The engine just doesn't realize that was with this other content. So I'll set that to loop. Oh no, it's fine. I don't mind. That's the whole point of the stream. And you're providing good suggestions. And so there is some foot sliding here because the feet positions aren't the same. And that blend is pretty long, so it's kind of drawn out. So you'd want to do like take like a foot locking approach here. But if we look at the starts, it does a pretty good job. The foot sliding is less noticeable. But one thing we can do is Epic has an experimental foot locking node. And if I go, I'll just go into the animation graph and I'll search for foot locking. Oh, it's called foot placement, actually. And it has some really cool functionality. I also need a leg IK node as well. So I'll set this to graph mode so it'll use the root motion of the animation. And I'm just going to tell it the different bones in the skeleton that it needs to know about. So the IK foot bone, the pelvis, going to give it definitions for the legs. So foot right, IK foot right, foot left, and IK foot left, and ball right, and ball left. And I'll give the leg IK node definitions for the feet. So IK foot left, IK foot right, and foot right. There we go. So, I forgot backwards animations aren't worked in yet, but much snappier foot movement, because it's based on the velocity of the foot bone, and when it's below a certain threshold or meant to be in the animation, it just locks the foot, which is really useful. I can turn on the debug. I think I actually have to do it through the console. Oh, okay, here we go. So essentially, this node will lock the feet and do IK, and it's drawing these two circles. Okay, so the difference between the IK foot and the normal foot bones. So the normal foot bones are used, let me pull up an animation here. So if I look at the character's skeleton, and I select the foot bone here, we can see that there's the foot bone. This is the bone that's being used to drive the deformation of the actual skeletal mesh. So the mesh that we see for our character. And it's within the hierarchy of the rest of the bones in the skeleton. The IK foot bones. So you have an IK foot root bone and then an IK foot bone that is not parented to the leg. It is not a child of the leg bones. It's a child of this foot root bone, which is aligned up with the root bone. And it's essentially like a bone that doesn't control any part of the character but has the same animation. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to move the IK foot bone wherever you want and kind of keep track of where you move it to. In this case, the foot placement node changes the location of the IK foot bone node, and then an inverse kinematic solver, like this leg IK bone, takes the IK foot bone, which is just like an empty bone, and moves the leg chain with the leg definition I provide it. So it's given a foot bone that actually controls the character mesh and the number of bones in the limb, and it moves the foot bone to the location we set that empty like IK foot bone to, the bone which does not control a part of the character mesh and can be moved separate from it. And so the IK solver takes care of making sure the bones of the leg bend in a realistic manner when we move the foot to match up with the IK bone. So the IK bone is just like it's a tool that's included in the skeleton that you can use to procedurally modify the pose of a character, and keep track of a target position that you would then move later on in your graph the foot to. Because that's how like the orientation warping, stride warping, I show I give an example of it in the video in my most recent locomotion series where I cover orientation warping. I spend some time talking about IK bones. I think I wrote out my explanation there, so it's probably a bit more coherent than I was just now. And so I show that and how to get the orientation warping set up with leg IK, and I did my best to explain how the orientation warping node changes the locations of the IK bones, and then the leg IK sets the feet to match with them. Same thing's happening here with the foot placement node. It's changing the location of the leg IK of the foot IK bones, and the leg IK node is moving the feet to line up with the IK bones. And we could place other nodes here, like if I were to just get a transform node, I could grab an IK foot bone, like I'll take the left foot, I'll set its translation to be relative to the existing, and I'll just make it go 25 units higher. So I'm moving the IK bone up just by changing its location relative to its animated location, so it's just 25 units above wherever its animation is at. And that leg IK node moves the foot in the leg up to match the position that we moved the IK bone to. And so of course it looks a bit strange, but that's kind of, and all that these like foot placement nodes and orientation whipping nodes are doing is they're applying a more complex operation to the IK bone. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. I'm just still doing four-way directional movement right now. And what I'm trying to do with the series is I'm trying to iterate over a system in a way where you can pick and choose the things that you want to follow along with. So I try to not make each video too dependent on the previous one. I try to do my best to explain the concepts. In some cases, the video does end up being dependent on the previous one. It's just building out something further. You may find use in some of the things I go over at some point, even if it's not exactly what you want to implement. But again, at the same time, I also have to strike a balance between the system I'm making and trying to make something that's general too. So I completely understand that. As far as learning resources go, the documentation really is fantastic, as is just finding other projects to open up and look into as well. So I definitely recommend you look at Lyra, and like Lyra and the Advanced Locomotion System are two fantastic things to reference. I'd say that I've learned most of what I know about doing locomotion systems. I've learned by studying the Advanced Locomotion System, which is free on the marketplace, and Lyra. Everything else has been me experimenting, to some extent watching some YouTube videos, but most of it was just from trying to pick apart and understand those systems and complementing that with the documentation where I needed that extra bit of context. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this stream out here. And I'll either come back to this in another stream in the future to finish out this system, or I'll do a dedicated video showing off Ryan's plugin in a more coherent, streamlined way. And I think I'm leaning towards that approach, because this stream ended up being a bit hectic with the plugin issue I encountered being on the old version, and then just all the other kind of just craziness that comes along with trying to do something live. But if you guys want to see more streams from me, I can try to figure out some other fun stuff to do too, and I'm definitely open to suggestions. So. Yeah, so sometimes things can sound a bit more complicated than they are. So the accessing movement data can sound like it's difficult, but it's really just the method that you go through to pull data from the character movement component into your animation blueprint. And there's all sorts of different approaches. But that I just kind of took the approach that Lyra demonstrated and did my best to explain how it worked for that video. You may find it useful to watch, but again, it depends on the system you're trying to make, the methods you use. I'm sure there's plenty of other videos out there too showing the other methods. So, but yeah, okay, I'll definitely try to figure out some. Maybe I'll continue this with some streams, or maybe I'll try to come up with some more stream ideas then too, because I do enjoy the process of streaming as well. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream out now, and I'll be around in the Discord today to answer any more questions. And yeah, oh gosh, yeah, that question. I've thought of making a game series a few times, doing that on stream. I'd like to. The big issue is the time constraints and like scope constraints for a project. I've really considered it more and more recently. Maybe I'll consider it again once I get through the current locomotion series on the channel. But it has been something it's been in my mind. I've wanted to do it. If I'm going to be streaming, maybe I will just start doing that. We'll see. I might only promise might not be able to be like an every week kind of thing, but that could be fun to do. So I'll keep that in mind too. All right, so I'll see you guys. I'll be in the Discord, so if you have any questions relating to the stream or anything, I'll be around today, and of course, also in the future. But feel free to send me a message there, because I will be working at my computer, just not on stuff directly related to this stream or probably the YouTube channel. So, alright, see you guys around.